On the first day of this year, which is 2024, Steamboat Willie, which was created by Walt Disney, entered the public domain. And everyone in their mother, well, not everyone, but a lot of people on YouTube uploaded the original film in their respective channels. So, I'm here today to do the same, basically. But not to re-upload the film, but to recreate the Steamboat Willie. Well, not the entire film, but only the whistling part. You know Yep, that part only. So let's begin. First up is doing the key drawings. And when doing the key drawings, I always do the sketches first, very rough sketches, and then simultaneously doing a bit of the line art. While doing this, I am also figuring out the parts that I need to separate in order to animate the frames easily. By the way, just like my first animation video, this is not a tutorial whatsoever. This is just me recording my process of doing this because I'm currently not that good at the animation process yet, but I'm trying to. And maybe I can upload a step-by-step tutorial in the future. So if you see some errors that I made or some tips to help me with, please feel free to leave some on the comments below. If you noticed, I separated the drawing into three parts: the wheel, the lower body, and the upper body. Then I labeled them into A, B, and C layers. I did this because those three parts has three different ways of movement, and I need to separate them in order to animate them easily. I'm already done working on the first layer, which is the wheel. So now, as you can see, I am now working on the line art of the lower body, which has more frames than the wheel animation. This is the reason why I need to separate those parts, because each layer has different ways of movement, which means they have different number of frames. And I don't need to redraw everything in each frame because that will take too long of a process. So, in order to save more time, I need to separate each of them. Although this project already took me maybe 3 days to finish. Just like the first and second layer, I am now working on the line art of the third layer, which is the upper part. This part has even more movements than the first two, because if you saw the original film, Mickey's looking around while steering the wheel and doing his dance. So this part needs more key drawings. When doing an animation, there's usually a thing called X-sheet. So this X-sheet serves as the guide on the proper timing of the scene. On a bigger animation projects, it is the key animator's job to create this X-sheet in order to guide the in-between artists. But in this case, I don't have an X-sheet. But what I did here is I drew the key drawings and then adjusted the timing myself based on the original audio. I had a bit of a problem here actually. I've adjusted the key drawings loads of times and I still can't sync the audio to the drawings perfectly. So I tried readjusting each frames until I realized that I set the project to 12 frames per second only. I cannot sync the audio perfectly because the frames are very limited. I googled how many FPS does Steamboat Willie originally have, and it says 24 frames per second, so yeah, I already messed up at that part. Fortunately, you can easily adjust the FPS of the project easily in Clip Studio Paint mid-process, so it's not really became a big problem for me, but still, it took me long enough to figure this out. Right now, I am working on the in-between drawings of each layer. This is actually the most boring part for me because in my experience, this is the longest part to do. But of course, it is very important because without the in-between drawings, the animation's movement won't be smooth or fluid and will look very stiff. After this, I will show you the difference of an animation with and without the in-between frames. So here's the animation with only the keyframes. And here's the animation with the keyframes and in-between frames. Now that I'm done with the line art, it is time for the colors. But first, I'm going to mark the shading so that I can also make their in-betweens properly. I know that in the original film there are almost no shadings because it's colored into black and white only, but I like putting shadings in my drawing, so I decided to put it here also. Now, with the colors, I chose to stick to the original with yellowish white and grayish black, so it can look a bit old also. And please take note that this is not me trying to make an improvement to the original Steamboat Willie, because I can never do that in 1,000 years. In fact, I don't think anyone can, because that is one of the greatest cartoons of all time. This is just me trying to make my own version, but in a totally different method. I just want to share a short story to you guys. I think Mickey Mouse is one of the characters I learned to draw when I was little, if not the very first one. I still remember the day that my dad ripped a page from his notebook from work and taught me how to draw this character. And after learning it, I drew Mickey loads and loads of times and secretly ripping pages from my dad's notebook. Also, I want to apologize that this time-lapse video is a bit unsteady and dizzying. When I work, I can't help myself panning and zooming in and out of the page because I'm working on a laptop and it has a small screen, so I am used to doing this. But seeing the way it became, I will try to lessen it more in my next project so that the video can be a bit steady for viewing. What I'm working now here is the very last part of the animation process, which is the background. I also want to animate the background, so I created additional frames for this. It's just a simple animation though, just to make it look that Mickey is riding a real vehicle. Before I show you the final output, I just want to say thanks to my 15 subscribers. Last video I only have 3 of you, so I really appreciate the other 12 for subscribing. And if you're not one of them, why not consider subscribing if you're interested with these kinds of videos. I am planning to make more projects in the future and I would love for you to see those. And now that it's done, I will present to you my own version of Steamboat Willie.